I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Rich, you've got the preamble there, if you'd read it, please.
Yep. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will proceed with the petitions in the order they are listed on the agenda unless the board deems it appropriate to take a petition out of order. State law and local ordinances set out the criteria that must be met in order for the board to grant a request. The minimum requirements are outlined in the form provided by the Community Development Office, and the petitioner should proceed with this format to provide adequate justification for the board to grant the request. The chair will then open the meeting to hear testimony either for or against the request. All discussion will be between the speaker and the board. Please be respectful of all, and in the interest of time, refrain from repeating previous testimony. No new documentation will be accepted by the board for consideration this evening, but the board reserves the right to ask for additional testimony at any time. After hearing the facts from all parties regarding a petition, the chairman will close the public hearing, and the board will deliberate and vote on the request before moving on to the next petition. Please turn off all cell phones and pagers if you have them.
And I'm going to start by designating Drew to sit in on Patrick, who is absent tonight. And I'm going to ask any of you in the audience who are planning on testifying tonight to please stand and be sworn in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask that we move number 7 and number 8 on the agenda ahead to deal with them first because they're planning on continuing them, so we can just get them out of the way. If nobody has any objections? Okay. Number 7, Curtis M. Wheeler Jr., petitioner and owner, variances under section 2.02.1.c.2.c of the zoning ordinance to permit a detached accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, with 1,078 square feet, whereas a maximum of 1,000 square feet is permitted. And under section .2.02.c.2.d, to permit a detached ADU on a lot comprised of less than 125% of the minimum lot area required by section 3.02.a, table 1. The parcel is located on 5 Lakeside Drive in the R2 Residential District, tax map 6A-1, lot 153. Case number 2019-16. Is the petitioner here? And make sure your mic is on, please. Bright green.
Okay. For the record, my name is Tom Quinn, and I represent Curtis Wheeler. We're on for two hearings tonight. The ADU, we just got some information with respect to the ADU application. We got some information late this afternoon that suggests that this apartment might have been approved in 1996. And we got the information too late in the day to really completely investigate that. So rather than start it and then ask for a continuance, we just asked that we move it to the second meeting in Merrimack, in July. Right, sorry.
There's only one meeting in July.
I thought you meant
ZBA.
The 28th?
It would be 31st.
That's one we'll take.
Last Wednesday in May, in July.
That's one we'll take.
I have motion? To do what he asked. Motion to
I
continue
motion to grant the continuance.
till the first meeting,
Until the
until July
31st of
31st.
July 2019.
Okay. Second? Second. Rod, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. 5-0? Okay, Tom, thank you. You want to deal with number 8 as well?
Yes.
I'll read it into the record. Curtis M. Wheeler Jr., petitioner owner, variance under section 3.05 of the zoning ordinance to permit an existing deck to remain within the side setback, exact distance from property line to be verified by a certified plot plan, whereas 15 feet is required. The parcel is located at 5 Lakeside Drive in the R2 Residential District, tax map 6A-1, lot 153. case number 2019-16.
And we're going to move to continue that one also to the end of July. We got the plot plan today, and it suggests that we don't need a variance at all, but I have I have to look at the title a little bit before I can make that
Okay.
decision and actually withdraw
Okay.
the application. So we just
So we
ask that
will
we
continue
continue it.
to, okay, motion? Rod?
I make a motion that we continue this till meeting July 31st.
You
Mic
wanna
on?
just turn your mic on?
I make a motion, we continue this until July 31st, our next meeting.
Okay,
I second.
second. Rich? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0. So we're continued to July 31st for both items.
Okay, great. Thank you for moving us up.
Thank you, Tom.
Appreciate it.
Do we want to move the Chestnut Hill Properties one up as well, since
We can do that. Item 4 on the agenda is Chestnut Hill Properties LLC, petitioner owner. This one is going to be continued, so I will read it into the record now. I'm sorry? Withdrawn. So I saw continued on it. So I will read it into the record, and then we can deal with that one right off the bat. So Chestnut Hill Properties LLC petitioner/owner, variance under section 3.08.8 of the zoning ordinance to amend a previously approved cluster subdivision permitted by previous variance to be allowed in the R1 district, to be serviced by individual septic systems, whereas municipal sewer is required. The parcels are located at Bannon Circle and Ritterbush Court, approved but not constructed roads in the R1 residential by map district. Tax map 5B, lots 002, 005, 007, 008, 009-1 through 009-71. Case 2019-13. This petition has been withdrawn, so there'll be no further action on this tonight. We'll go on with number 3, James Gadbois. Gadbois, thank you. Petitioner owner, variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit a detached garage 30 feet from the front property line, whereas 50 feet is required. The parcel is located at 85 Patton Road in the R1 residential by soils and aquifer conservation districts. Tax map 6C, lot 394, case number 2019-12. This item has been continued from the April 24th meeting. Do you want to come forward and? Give us a quick overview?
just as a reminder, if you could please sign in and state your name?
Yep. Quick overview, and then go into the 5 criteria, please.
Okay. My name is James Gadbois.
James, is the mic on? Is it bright green?
Hello, test one.
No, push the button. Bright green?
Here we go.
There you go.
All right, I
Okay,
can hear myself.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is James Gadbois. This is my wife, Linda. We live at 85 Patton Road. I think it's probably one of the oldest houses in the whole entire town. I know it dates back to basically 1800. And what happens is I guess my house is very close to the road, so everything has conformed to that property. And you guys had asked me to get an exact number for the setback from the road, which I actually have, and you also have it too. I can see that everybody has one. Basically, we have a slab that's pre-existing, and the record shows it's 26 feet. And we're asking, I guess the number on that would be, what is that, 24 feet is out of code, but where the house is so old, I'm looking at like the 50 feet, I think maybe for this lot, and how it conforms is actually too far back. it would be nice, that would have been great if we could start with 50 and then build the house from there. But our situation is, at the 50-foot line that you see, we have pressure lines that run from a septic system. And so with the lot configuration and the way everything moves, there was a garage there. I took the garage down, and not knowing that I may have left a wall up, people were saying, to keep it in grandfather, which I did not do. So what we're asking here today is to see if that 26 feet will be doable, stating that it doesn't conform to the setback, but yet it's an existing concrete pad.
Okay, if you want to go to the criteria. And go through each one, and we'll see if there's any questions. So on number 1,
Okay, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. My answer was, I feel there is no harm in the reconstruction of this garage, putting it in its same location it was previously in the last 50 years. In fact, with all the tools and items that are used daily, including cars, can be kept orderly and covered and making the lot look clean to the eye. Number 2, the spirit.
James, just a minute. Any questions? All set? Okay, number 2.
Number 2, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because, well, in my case, I have items that are not covered by a roof structure where I had the garage. People will be excited to see that there's a huge improvement to the front of the lot by keeping all items, wood, ladders, bricks, piles of different stuff enclosed in the garage, including the cars. The neighborhood would be delighted, I would think, when they walk by. We have a lot of passerbys, and they would see that there would be a huge improvement, seeing that the whole house is organized in the front.
Questions from the board? None? All right, number 3.
Granting the variance would do substantial justice because there is no harm to the public, to the building of the structure. I have plenty of workspace to construct the said garage. It is used for personal use, to put cars and, lawn items and tools.
Questions? Okay, number 4.
The following reason, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. In this case, the new garage will be a positive look for the road where it has, I have stated, it will condense all the objects and making the lot. I had a hard time with this one, but I think what you're looking for here is I think actually it's going to look better because there's just a slab there with a vinyl garage.
Okay. Okay.
It's just going to make it look better.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Number 5.
Unnecessary hardship. Let's see here. Might as well put these on now. Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because, 1, no fair or substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the special application of that provision to the property, because the problem is that I had a septic system installed where I have the pressure lines are going behind the said garage. I can't move back more than adding 4 feet to the original number to make the width of the garage 24 from its original 20.
Questions? Okay. And number 2.
The proposed use is a reasonable one because there was a garage there that was on a slab which was taken down because of age. There's a slab now and would like to use the existing area going no closer, but making the garage larger from the 22 by 20 to the 24 by 38, maintaining that same frontage.
Question? Are you planning on building the garage closer to the road?
No, nothing will be closer. As it is now, the driveway, do you have the pictures? Okay, so if you look at that side view of the picture, you'll see where there's a frost wall. That determines where the driveway, which we had done, I think 2 years ago, that is actually a finished set at that 26, that's exactly where that 26-foot mark is.
Okay,
So from there, that point, it would go back.
okay.
No closer.
All right, and B?
If the criteria in subparagraph A are not established, explain how an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to the exit if, and if owing the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance and the variance of therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of the property. I wrote, the design of the said septic was designated to stay closer to the front of the property because of the hill that was created from the leaching, and it had to be in a specific area.
you.
Basically, what happens is the further we go back, the higher the water table is. So having those pressure lines there, because it's always dry on that, let's just say that half of the lot on those 4 acres. So they actually built that up on the side. And those lines basically are suited for a septic that would last, they told me, like 40 years.
Any questions? All right, I'm going to open a public hearing.
I do have a question, but it's
Oh,
not
sorry.
regarding the criteria. It was regarding when we last heard this, I believe we discussed that we needed a survey, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just noting the staff notes that approximate right-of-way lines shown are per current deed.
So the first question is,
Is that something we need to address?
yes? Do you think what you've got is reasonable enough to make a decision? This, yes.
Okay. All right, that's it. That was my
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Sorry. I was
Hi.
just curious from a technicality.
Yeah.
No, well, that's when we talked about I had Meridian, because they did the septic design years ago.
Yep.
At our house, that's how I got their name. And that's how, we talked about how we needed a definitive numbers, and that's what I paid for with this new paperwork.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is actually new as of
Right.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, I was just trying to clarify on
All
our
right,
side
thank-
if that was what we
No
needed.
problem, thank you.
No problem.
Is there anyone who wants to speak? I'm opening the public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for this petition? Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak against this petition? Seeing none, I'll close public hearing. What's the board have to say?
I think that the board should grant James Gadbois, the petitioner and owner, variance under Section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit a detached garage 30 feet from the front property line, whereas 50 feet is required. Parcel is located at 85 Patton Road in the R1 Residential by Soils and Aquifer Conservation District, Tax Map 6C, Lot 394. Case number is 2019-12. This item is continued from the April 24th, 2019 meeting.
Can we make it 26, because based on the new survey, it's approximately
Yes.
26 feet, not 30?
No, it's detached garage 26 feet from the front property, because that's what the new survey showed us. We good?
Yep.
Second? Drew? All in favor of granting the variance? 500. You're all set?
Thank you so much, and thank you for your
You
time.
do have 30 days from this hearing that it can be appealed.
Okay, yeah, so wait 30 days and then
Yep.
break ground.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you very much for all your time.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Don't need that one. Item number 5 tonight, Jason Stover, petitioner/owner, variance under section 3.05 of the zoning ordinance to permit a detached garage 10 feet from the side property line, whereas 15 feet is required. The parcel is located at 59 Belmont Drive in the R4 Residential District, tax map 7D, lot 355, case 2019-14.
Good afternoon. Jason Stover, 59 Belmont Drive.
Okay, Jason? Give us a quick synopsis. Easy for you to say. Once you sign in, and then we'll go into the criteria.
Yeah, I'm looking to build a 24 by 24 detached garage on the side of the house.
Okay.
And I have a 15-foot setback, but I'd need an extra 5 feet to build the 24 by 24 garage.
Okay. All right, you want to go into the 5 criteria?
Okay. I apologize for my quick answers.
That's
I
all right.
got it in on the last day. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public because it would no way affect the abutters of any of the properties surrounding me. And the spirit of the ordinance is...
Just a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Questions? No, okay, go into number 2.
I would like to build a 24 by 24 garage, and with that, I would need 5 more feet on my 15-foot setback to build that size garage.
Questions? Okay. Number 3?
Granting the variance would do substantial justice because it would increase the value of the property and surrounding homes, and also would allow for parking for our 2 cars in the driveway or on the property.
Lenny?
Did you physically find the property line on the left side of your residence?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
When I was there, I didn't see any lot corner
There-
visible.
It was, actually, there was a tree right there in front. It was a big pine tree that I actually just took
I'm
down.
confused
But
by
it
the
was
site
right,
plan.
it was right there.
You measure from the house and actually only have 40 feet to the property line?
That's what it was with what I got. I went from the house out, and that was, it said 40 feet. So I
You
went
cut the shrub down?
Yes.
The evergreen,
yes.
which is on your property?
It was right
Everything
there.
I come up with is the house is 50 feet from the property line, not 40.
So I wouldn't need a variance at all. But I had some thing that I got from the,
You have a sketch.
yeah, and that's all they had at the building department and planning board. This is the only sketches that they had. So I was just going off of what you guys had, that it was 40 feet from my house to the property line.
My point is, if it really is 50, you don't even need to be here. And not having the lot corner there, there's no way to verify it.
Well, that evergreen tree, if I measured 40 feet from my house, is where it was. So if it was another 10 feet, then
How did you determine the sideline?
I don't know. This is my neighbor on that side. He was there before me, so.
I determined that was the.
You're going to come to the mic, and you're going to need to sign in. And were you sworn in? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If you would sign in, please, and state your name.
Okay. My name is James Zazoulis. It's Zissulis at 61 Belmont Drive in Merrimack.
James, would you sit and put the mic on, please?
That's all.
Okay.
Good, yep.
My name is James Zazoulis. I live at 61 Belmont Drive in Merrimack, and my property abuts Mr. Stover's. And there are pipes that have been on both sides of my house that are the side markers. There was also a row of trees that went down the edge. That pipe is roughly right where Mr. Stover says. It's roughly about, I thought it was about 40 feet from his, but I don't know for sure. I'm here to speak in favor of granting the variance.
Just a minute. Jason, did you find that pipe?
Yes, yes.
And if you measured from that pipe
To the
directly
house.
back to the house,
It's 40 feet, maybe a couple feet more, but.
all right,
yeah.
then let's assume we're at 40 feet and
Sure.
go from there.
Yeah, we've just been using that property line for the last 20 years,
Okay,
so
yep.
that's what we went with.
All right, just a minute. We're gonna go through the rest of this and then we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4,
The following reason, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. I believe it will only increase the surrounding property values with the garage on my property.
questions?
Sorry.
Number 5,
Unnecessary hardship. The only hardship it would be is that I'd have to build a smaller garage if I didn't get the variance.
okay. And number 2,
It will not impose on any of the abutters and will only increase the value of the homes surrounding.
have we met hardship?
I think so.
Okay, so we don't need to go into B. All right, any further questions from the board? All right, I'm gonna open it, public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak for this petition?
Yes, I speak in favor of this petition, as I think all it would do is, it would work very well for both of us.
Okay. Anyone else speaking for this petition? Anyone speaking against this petition? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Deliberations from the board? Motions? Okay,
I make a motion that we grant Jason Stover variance under section 3.05 of the zoning ordinance to permit a detached garage 10 feet from the side property line, whereas 15 feet is required. The parcel is located at 59 Belmont Drive in the R4 Residential District, tax map 7D, lot 355, case number 2019-14.
thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. You're all set.
Thank you. I heard with the last one, you have to wait
Yes.
30 days?
Yep. Well, you don't have to wait, but the potential is there for somebody to appeal this,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
Check with community development, they can run through it with you.
It's basically, it's at your own risk. If you choose to build and somebody appeals and you end up having to rip whatever you've done out, then that's your own risk that you take. From here, you go to
All right, number 6, Granite State Professional Martial Arts petitioner and 501 DW Highway DWH LLC owner. Variance under section 17.09 of the zoning ordinance to permit commercial wall signage in a residential district. The parcel is located at 501 Daniel Webster Highway in the R4 Residential Aquifer Conservation Town Center Overlay, Elderly Overlay, and Planned Residential Development Overlay Districts. Tax map 5D-3, lot 113, case number 2019-15.
I just sign in here.
Sign in and introduce yourself, please, and then give us a quick overview.
Hi, I'm Joan Shelton. I'm with Granite State, and the name of the business is actually Professional Martial Arts. And we have been in existence in Merrimack for 12 years. And we have been down at 370 Daniel Webster Highway, and that building has been sold. So we are moving to 501 Daniel Webster Highway. Now, 501 Daniel Webster Highway is a building that has already got several commercial things in it, and I don't have any idea why. It's never been changed from residential to commercial. Everything around it is commercial. Across the street, diagonally, right behind it is the Chinese restaurant in the mall, which Tractor Supply is in. So we are requesting that we could put up a sign. This particular space that we are moving into has been a martial arts school once before, and hence since they moved, it has been empty for 2 years. However, where we would like to put the sign on the north end, Sal's Pizza already has a sign up there, and there are signs for every other business in the building. So that's our case, basically.
Okay, you want to go into criteria, please?
Yes, I didn't realize the only one of these meetings I've been was run very differently, and I didn't bring my copy of the criteria.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Now, shall I begin on one?
On one, please.
Okay, 501 Daniel Webster Highway already has several businesses in it, including Sal's Pizza and a dance studio. We are a school of self-defense and offer the benefit of physical exercise and health to the community. The building is correctly being used commercially.
Questions? Okay, number 2.
The variance we are requesting is to put a sign on the north side of the building to the left of the Sal's sign. This is for the public interest and does not harm the public in any way. It will be seen from the Daniel Webster Highway as people travel south, as well as from the parking lot of the building.
Questions? Was there a sign there prior for the former?
I believe there was. I don't have a picture of the sign that the
Okay.
former one had or anything. Nobody seemed to have a record of it
Okay.
like that, but.
All right, number 3.
The gain to the general public is, we are offering martial arts for children and adults. We also are offering yoga and special classes to the public, such as self-defense for first responders, which we even offer free to the public. Although having a viewable sign does help our business, it is letting the public know these classes are available.
Questions? Number 4.
501 Daniel Webster Highway already had a martial arts school and in this space previously. Behind this building is a Chinese restaurant and the Tractor Supply strip mall. If anything, we will add to all the local businesses by bringing more people to the area. Across the street, there is only one small business that we will not impact negatively. There is easy access into our space and out of it, so we will not negatively impact traffic.
Questions? Okay, number 5.
Number 5, this variance, as we understand it, is necessary because the building at 501 DW Highway is zoned residential, although it has several commercial businesses in it already. We need a variance to put our sign up in said residential area. If we are not given the variance, it will cause a hardship to the public because it will make it hard for the public to find us without a sign. We are already an established school moving from another location. And number 2, we are a very reputable school, and the public in Merrimack and the surrounding area is already benefiting from our school. We are moving into the space at 501 DW Highway that already provided a martial arts school to the area. By putting our sign out, we are making it easy for the public to find us and enhance their lives.
Did we meet hardship, do you think? Okay, so we don't need to go into B. Questions? No questions. I've got a question for Kelly. This is not part of the PUD, correct? The Commons PUD?
Correct. So basically because it's zoned residential and they want to put up a commercial sign,
Okay.
it requires the variance.
Okay. All right, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for this petition? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this petition? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. What's the will of the board? Put your, you gonna?
All right, thank you. Sure. I'd like to make the motion to grant Granite State Professional Martial Arts petitioner and 501 DW Highway LLC variance under section 17.09 of the zoning ordinance to permit commercial wall signage in a residential district. Parcels located at 501 Daniel Webster Highway in the R4 Residential Aquifer Conservation, Town Center Overlay, Elderly Overlay, and Planned Residential Development Overlay Districts, Tax Map 5D-3, Lot 113, Case 2019-15.
Second, Kathy, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Raise your hand. Any opposed? Passes 500. You're all set?
Thank you so much.
You just got it, yep, there you go.
Thank you.
Yep. And last one of the night. I see people getting ready. Number 9, Stephen Chase and Robin Cousineau, petitioner and owner. Variances under section 3.02A of the zoning ordinance to permit a 2-lot subdivision with one lot having 86,505 square feet of contiguous non-wetland area, and the second lot having 65,046 square feet of contiguous non-wetland area, whereas 100,000 square feet is required. The parcel is located at 85 Woodard Road in R1 Residential by map and Aquifer Conservation Districts, Tax Map 7A, Lot 007, case number 2019-17. Okay. Gentlemen?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Greg Michael, along with Brett Allard from my office, as well as Paul Chisholm from Keach Nordstrom, to present the Cousineau plan of the board. And basically, as you've just read, Madam Chair, this is a variance related to soil types. I would point out that the Lot 7, which is the larger lot that you see, Lot 7 that you see ends up being approximately 5.5 acres in size. The other parcel, which is 7.1, approximately 2.37 acres in size, and that's highlighted by the kind of the burgundy rows that you see here. The issue is the issue of contiguous upland or non-wetland soils. When this lot was originally created, the entire lot, back in 1979, there were no soil restrictions at that time. So the person that had it had some expectation that they could likely go ahead and deal with it at some future point. Since that time, as the board is aware, the ordinance has changed. This matter was before the board back in February. And you may be wondering, what are we doing back here? And it was a very similar proposal at that time, except the property line was moved over slightly, and there was a frontage variance that was granted. With the frontage variance granted, you added back in some of the non-hydric or non-wetland soils, which made Lot 7 a totally conforming lot. What happened after the variances were granted by the board found the conditions were met, is that when my clients went to have the final subdivision done, and as you're aware, the subdivision plan requires a high attention to detail. That's required. The survey work, the field work, and Keach Nordstrom discovered that in fact there was a tie-in. In other words, it was not totally disconnected. It was represented to the board at that time is that where the line was the line along, I'll use the term, disconnected upland soils. That's the reason it was structured that way at the time. When that came to our attention, what we did not want was to have any misconstruence, or my clients did not want to be misleading any board in this town. Neither did we. At that point, we went back, recalculated this whole thing, so to speak, and at that point, because of the nature of the boundary that was found and the connectivity that existed, we elected to move the frontage line over. Now the lots are conforming frontage. In other words, these lots, size-wise, setback-wise, setbacks from wetland-wise, all of those things are conforming, all conforming. The issues, the contiguous soils. Merrimack in the R1 zone has a very stringent policy, and that policy is there to ensure that these things are carefully reviewed for drainage issues, septic issues, well setback issues, to ensure the public health and safety. And Paul Chisholm will get up and describe that. He's an expert. He's our engineer. He will look at that with you. But I can assure you that what we did here was to come back with a slightly modified plan. It's not modified a lot, but there wasn't a lot to modify. And we wanted to make sure that we were clear with the board, and any representations that we made were fair and accurate representations as it related to this proposal. I want to point out a couple of numbers that may be important. On the smaller lot, 7-1, the original soils that were granted by the board, you granted this, were 61,160. That's well over an acre in size, acre and a half in size. Now it's bigger. The uplands on that lot are 65,046. So it's actually, there's more contiguous soils by the readjustment of the frontage line and the connectivity that was discovered during the final analysis. The other lot is of course bigger. That lot had 100,000, well, it had 175,000 before, I believe, or whatever it was a significant amount. But the variance on that particular parcel now, there's contiguous soils of 86,505, so it's not far off from the number. That's a lot that's currently in use. It's been in use. There are no issues with that lot. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our expert and let him just describe the due diligence that they did as it relates to this, so that you can understand the final, how do I put it, findings that were made.
Thank you, Greg. For the record, my name is Paul Chisholm. I'm a project manager and licensed engineer with Keach Nordstrom Associates. My firm prepared the plan that's before you tonight, and we've assisted the applicant with the application to date. As Greg mentioned, we've performed considerable due diligence on this property, given all that's going on here. Some of the things that we've looked at are the shoreland calculations, because the Babusick Brook is a regulated shoreland with the state. We even had a sit-down pre-application meeting with the Shoreland Bureau, presented our findings to them. They were completely on board with the application, understood that we don't hit any of the thresholds requiring advanced design that they can require. Beyond that, we've also confirmed the state subdivision lot size and calculation requirements, stormwater management calculations, performed a search of the Natural Heritage Bureau database to confirm there's no impact to endangered or threatened species, and we've cross-checked the proposal with all pertinent regulations. Probably the most important thing that we've done is look at the septic system, the proposed system for the new lot. And I'll leave you with this. The septic system is located on the east side of the house, right back here in this corner. We perform test pits to verify the soils. Everything's really soil-based when you talk about design of septic systems. The soils came back so good that this lot, with the 65,000 and change contiguous area, could support a 19-bedroom house. That's what we're dealing with here. So as you can tell, obviously, this is just a single-family home that would be well in excess of what's required there. With that being said, I'd be happy to turn it back over to you guys.
Did you find any drainage problems or
No,
issues that would
as I mentioned, we looked at
arise?
the stormwater management of this parcel, and basically because, you know, the way that it's designed and the buffers that we need to hold to the wetlands and the brook itself, we don't see any issue with any peak flow rates, any stormwater quality, given the soils that are out there. It really assists with all of those things. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. I'd also point out that after we came here and discovered these issues, we decided to go to the Conservation Commission. We were curious to get their read on this in terms of maintaining the line, maintaining the original figures, to try and get some input. We weren't in wetlands. We were not building in wetlands. We're not even building in a setback to wetlands. But they were gracious enough to meet with us. And Brett, I'm sure, will comment a bit further on that, but they had no issues with the proposal that we're making here. We think this is a fair proposal and a reasonable proposal. At this point, I'm going to let Brett take you through the criteria. Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. Proceed.
Good evening. So to start, the granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest, and the courts have held that any variance will in some measure be contrary to the ordinance, but to be contrary to the public interest, the variance must unduly conflict with the ordinance such that it violates basic zoning objectives. The basic zoning objective of requiring contiguous non-wetland area is, as you've just heard from Attorney Michael and Mr. Chisholm, it's to protect and ensure that lots have appropriate upland soil for drainage and septic purposes. And quite obviously here, as you just heard, we are the lot can more than accommodate the proposed subdivision and the single-family home. The smaller of the proposed lots, the larger one, as Greg and Michael said, we know everything works there. They've been living there. Nothing's changed. So that's that for the first
Questions on 1? 2?
The courts have held that the spirit of the ordinance prong is very closely related to the public interest prong. And here, granting the variance would not threaten the public health, safety, or welfare. The proposed use is single-family residential and it's permitted by right. This would enable a reasonable use of the property. And the spirit of the ordinance is to require sufficient area for drainage and septic, and based on the buffers being maintained and everything you heard previously, the spirit of the ordinance in that regard is being observed.
Questions? Number 3?
Substantial justice is done. The courts have held that substantial justice is done when there's no harm to the public that outweighs the benefit to the applicant. From the case of Metzer v. Brentwood, all zoning ordinances must promote the public health and safety, but when these goals are met, the real question is whether the ordinance is nevertheless unreasonable as applied to the landowner's property. Here, there would be a significant loss to the applicant and any future owner of the property if the variance was denied. That whole area on the proposed smaller of the two lots would have to essentially remain vacant when that area of the property really doesn't serve any purpose to the primary existing portion, the other proposed lot, so to speak. It's really it's an area that, based on the boundaries of the wetlands and the configuration of the lot, suits itself well to a second buildable area. There would be no benefit to the public in denying the variance based on all those things here. It would only be detriment to the applicant. And like I've said before, there's no physical changes proposed by way of this application to the larger of the two lots other than the reconfiguration of the lot line. So substantial justice would be done.
Questions? Number 4?
The values of surrounding properties would not be diminished. There's no other properties in the immediate area insofar as, encroaching on setbacks or anything like that. There's no overcrowding. There's a substantial wooded buffers, and if you look on the plan, the darker green on the proposed smaller of the two lots is the wooded buffer that we propose will be maintained, which will ensure privacy for both the applicant and others in the area. Again, it's a single-family home. It's a permitted use. It's consistent with the neighborhood. And if you look at the application that we submitted, there's a letter in there from April Duguay at Berkshire Hathaway, and she's taken a look at this too, and she has said in her professional opinion that if the board grants the variance and allows this, there won't be any diminution to surrounding property values.
Brett, there's a buffer on the very southern property line? Vegetation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's a dark green, the
Yep,
darker
I was
green.
just confirming that was
Yep.
going to remain.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's annotated on the plan.
Okay. Number 5?
Literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. First, the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from others in the area. First and foremost, the property is bisected by Babusick Brook, which is not something that very many, if any, properties in the area could say, especially to the extent that, there could be other ones that it crosses a small corner of the lot or it touches it somewhere, but here it's actually completely bisecting the property. Because of that, there's significant contiguous upland. There's significant upland. It's just not contiguous. So again, in 1979, when this lot was first created, the contiguous upland wasn't a requirement. Only 100,000 upland total. So this was much more conforming at the time than the zoning ordinance changes subsequently made it. And owing to the special conditions relative to other properties in the area, there's no fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the regulations and their specific application here. I think if you look at the two lots separately and you look at the larger of the two lots, there's clearly no fair and substantial application because we know it works, it's been there, it's existing, there hasn't been drainage issues or anything like that. It's just a reconfiguration of the lot line away from the property. With regard to the smaller lot 7A-71, both lots have more than 100,000 square feet total. Again, it's not all contiguous and it's not all upland, but the lots are sizable. They're sizable enough where even with the wetland, the amount of wetlands on the property, the lots as they're currently proposed to be configured can support both dwellings, as you heard from Paul. And even though even though there is some wetlands, it can accommodate, and we've run through that as you've heard.
Questions? Section 2?
The proposed use is reasonable. It's a single-family residential use, and single-family permitted uses are per se reasonable.
Questions? Have they met the hardship? Okay. Hearing that, we will open this up to the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for this petition? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against? Were you sworn in earlier?
Was not.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. You gonna pull that up?
Musical chairs.
Yes, I do.
And you, sir, were sworn in as well?
I was.
Okay, thank you. If you would sign in, please, and then state your name.
My name is Robert Shepherd. I will sign in 1 minute. I promise you I will sign in.
Okay.
I represent Carl and Pam Belmonte. I'm a lawyer from Nashua. I was involved in this case when it came before the board previously. I had filed a motion for rehearing on behalf of Carl and Pam. Carl and Pam Belmonte live at 81 Woodland Road here in Merrimack, and they are direct abutters to the applicant here. And what I can see the difference in the variances that were submitted, the first variance obviously was for frontage and for the 100,000 square foot upland area or high and dry area. And it looks like the lot configurations have changed, as Attorney Michael indicated. The Lot 7A-7, which is the lot where the applicants currently live, has increased by about 10,000 square feet. I'm not sure I exactly understand how that happened, but it has. It's increased from 74,850 square feet to 85,505, and then of upland, continuous area. And then the additional lot that they're proposing has increased by approximately 4,000 square feet. Carl and Pam Belmonte's property.
Robert, grab the mic, please, if you're going to move around.
I'm not going to move around much. Thank you.
Got this one damn fly.
Their property would be right in this area here. This is where their lot is. It's accessed by an old railroad bed here, and their driveway comes right down this area. Their driveway is approximately 30 feet from where the proposed driveway of the applicants is. And their home is located in this area. I do have some photographs that I'll submit a little bit later in my presentation. The lot that's been brought into you today, as you can see, is what I would describe as kind of a funky configuration. It's a very irregular configuration, and the reason for its irregular configuration is the back area here to get more area for their upland area, and then the frontage area, so they have a spike that goes up so that they meet their frontage area. It's unusual in its configuration. It's done that way so it can comply with the frontage requirement. Our position is that granting the variance would be contrary to the public interest. Apologize for that. Just wanted to finish signing in. The applicants indicate in their application that they do not propose any further subdivision of their lot. I'm not sure how they can say that. They probably didn't propose it when they first built the lot. The lot or the lots in question are within your Aquifer Conservation District. The purpose of that district is to protect, preserve, and maintain the existing potential groundwater supply and recharge areas within known aquifer and wellhead areas from adverse impacts that may result from the inappropriate development of or land use practices. This is a wetland area. The whole lot is a wetland area. It has the Babusick Brook going through it. The wetland area is a very important resource for your town. The wetland area helps preserve your water supply, protect the aquifer, and provide a habitat for wildlife and vegetation. It's our position that the spirit of the ordinance is not observed. The applicants are basically creating two non-conforming lots. Neither lot will conform with your 1,000 square foot requirement. So they are creating two non-conforming lots where perhaps one non-conforming lot existed before. I'm not sure whether it was non-conforming. It was the last time they came in for a variance, but it may have changed because of the connectivity that was discussed. It's our position that granting the variance will not do substantial justice. The gain to the public if the variance is denied is the protection of the Aquifer Conservation District. There's a reason why you have an overlay district in your ordinance. You decided as a town that it was important to protect your aquifer. Denying the variance will protect the aquifer. And also, as I pointed out a little bit here, there is a concern about the proximity of the two driveways. They're going to be approximately 30 feet apart. Granting the variance will allow that close proximity of two driveways to exist. It's our position that the value of the surrounding properties will be diminished, and in particular, the property of Carl and Pam Belmonte will be diminished in value if you do grant this variance. If you watch the testimony before the Conservation Commission, the applicants told the Conservation Commission that they have a very, very tight envelope here for building. And they do, and you can see it's very tight. There's not really any other location where the house can be. And where that house is going to be will be in direct sight of Carl and Pam Belmonte's home. I would like to show you as exhibits, and you have this probably already, but I'll give these to you. The first document I'm going to give you is just a GPS map.
Robert,
Yes.
we don't take any new exhibits.
All right.
And
Would you look at them and not take them?
Nope, can't do that.
You can't do that.
Sorry.
Well, I'll describe it then. And what this shows is where the building envelope is, and you can see it on this map anyways. It's 40 to 50 feet away from the property line. Mr. and Mrs. Belmonte's property, their view from their driveway will be this house. We do have Carl that's here, and he'd like to read a statement about how it impacts the value. And we also have a real estate agent that will testify that, in her opinion, it will have a negative impact on the value as well. So I'd like to have Carl read his statement first, and then bring the real estate agent up to have her read her statement as well.
Okay. Carl, did you sign in?
I did. I
Okay,
did.
thank you.
So my name is Carl Belmonte. I live at 81 Woodward Road, as Bob described. Dear board members, my wife Pam and I moved to Merrimack a year and a half ago and reside at 81 Woodward Road. One of the main reasons we chose this property was the rural neighborhood and the beauty and privacy it offered us by way of its seclusion and distance to neighboring homes. It was actually a main selling feature of the home itself, not just to us, to everyone that saw the house. We researched the property and, to the extent possible, the neighboring properties and the town of Merrimack's ordinances for lot size, setbacks, etc. We felt comfortable with the purchase that we had made, that things would remain that way, I guess. In both applications, the client's attorney ignored the potential negative impact to our property. We still contend that allowing this subdivision will diminish our property's value, as well as threaten the surrounding wildlife habitats and natural resources. As indicated in the applicant's plans, the proposed dwelling and driveway access have not changed and still pose the same concerns, including a uniquely small house in an established neighborhood of larger homes, and the proximity of the proposed driveway to our driveway, as Bob described. This proposed dwelling and septic system also lie completely within existing floodplains and the Babusick Brooks 250-foot setback requirement. The applicants have included a statement from a real estate agent. As Bob said, we've done our own research as well, just to add to that. At this point, should we have?
Yes, I'd like to have Elizabeth Furbush come up, please, and I'll
Thank you.
have her sign in.
Elizabeth, were you sworn in?
I was not sworn in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So I'd like you to read your little statement here. First, tell the board who you are.
Okay.
And then if you'd read your statement, I'd appreciate that.
All right. My name is Elizabeth LeClaire Furbush. As a real estate expert for over 22 years, it is my professional opinion that privacy does indeed play a part in the value of a home. See attached comparable sales with acreage. In addition, recent articles have stated the following. Privacy was voted number 3 in order of importance for home buyers, and this is taken from the article, 6 Things Buyers Want in a New Home. Privacy, depending on the placement of your property, the level of privacy can be another decisive factor for a buyer. According to recent studies made on this topic, it has been agreed that privacy is one of the chapters that people are least expected to compromise on. It must fit their values and life principles too. This is from an article entitled The Hottest Topics in the Market. Land, privacy, and peace and quiet are among the top priorities across all buying groups. And this comes from Embrace Home Loans. Respectfully, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Just to complete my presentation on the fifth element, it's our position that granting the variance would not create an unnecessary hardship for the applicant. The applicant has said that the property here is unique, or the special condition of this property is Babusick Brook that goes through it. It's our position that that's not something that makes this property a special condition. This is a large lot, but if you look at the lots in the area, they're almost all very large lots. It does not appear to be a unique parcel. The portion of Section 302 that we're referring to of your ordinance is, the purpose of it is to protect properties exactly like this from being developed. That's the whole purpose of that section. It's our position that the applicant's proposed use is not a reasonable use. They're attempting to squeeze in a house in a very, very tight envelope that impacts their direct abutters. What the applicant has said they'd do is have a buffer area of trees that's highlighted in green. I question how that would ever be enforced. It's great in principle that there'd be a buffer area, but I question how that would ever be enforced. And I don't know what type of trees we're talking about, but it's our position, my client's position, that even if there was some type of buffer zone, A, it's not enforceable, that in the future that buffer zone could disappear, and B, even with a proposed buffer zone with trees in there, it's still going to be visible from their home, and it will have a detrimental impact on the value of their property. We ask that you deny the variance. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Questions? Is there anyone else who would like to speak against this petition? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Yes.
I'll make it clear that I respect what I heard counsel say. The problem with it is it's like describing something that doesn't exist. He's using facts that aren't there. I would point out that when you look at this subdivision, what you see is what you see. The only issue is soils. To suggest that because the house would hurt privacy is really it really is a red herring. Because if we had the soils, we could put it there. We're meeting every setback, every wetland setback, every other criteria to build on a lot that is greater than the size normally attributed to lots in the zone. So the issue with this privacy issue just doesn't cut it in terms of value. We've made it crystal clear through our expert that there is no harm or injury arising from this. This board is well aware that zoning is a big paintbrush. You paint it, and you can't take into account every area. That regulation was put in to assure that if you were under it, we had to visit you folks. And we have to visit the planning board as well, I might add. And it's there to allow an analysis of the parcel, as we have done. It's there to show you that in this case, on this lot, there are no health safety issues. The Supreme Court spoke in Continental Paving versus Litchfield a few years back, and the same type of issue came up. This business was road construction within a wetland conservation district. And at that time, the expert came in and told the board, two experts actually, that this isn't going to pose a problem. Yes, it was a variance issue, it wasn't going to pose an issue. The board said no, the court said yes. You're right, the expert is correct. This is not an issue, and the ordinance was designed to protect, I'm going to read it to you, protect the public health, safety, and welfare by controlling and guiding use of land areas while subjected to high water tables. The intent of the ordinance, protect natural resources, protect ecological balance, protect potential water supplies. There has to be a bending point in what is a very, I'll use the term, harsh reality that we have regarding these soils issues. In this instance, the lot is big enough, the lot works. And to suggest that because the soils somehow create a privacy problem just doesn't cut it. That's not evidence. And I'd point out that the lawyer here tonight is not an ecological or engineering expert. The only expert in the room is our expert. I appreciate his commentary, but that's opinion. That's not expert testimony. He is not an expert. Babusick Brook running through this property, and I would point out the soil distribution itself makes the lot unique. Whenever you deal with soils, you automatically, the red light goes on. There is the red light that says, yeah, this lot's different, because most lots are always different when it comes to soils. We believe strongly that what the board did a couple of months ago was correct. You found that the criteria existed. You found that there was substantial justice by allowing this. You certainly found that the spirit of the ordinance was not being breached because of the engineering testimony and evidence that you had. And clearly, the lot is unusual. It is unique, the way the brook runs through it. And I'd point out one final item. What's fascinating tonight is that these abutters, without this board, wouldn't be living on their property. This board granted them a variance, not them, but their predecessor in 2011, a variance to build on a lot with no frontage. No frontage. So I find it fascinating in some respects that they would suggest that there aren't unique issues, unique features, and unique problems that relate to land everywhere, not just in Merrimack, but everywhere. They would not be in their house but for this board. I think I've said enough. I'd like my broker to, the last thing I'd like is to bring our broker down. We do have an expert here with us who was sworn in to just provide her brief commentary on the issue of value. She did submit a letter to you that is part of the evidentiary package, but I'd like her to bring her down briefly to say a few remarks, and that will conclude our presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, that's fine.
Hi there.
Please introduce yourself
Yes.
and sign in if you would.
Hi, April Duguay from Berkshire Hathaway.
April, were you sworn in?
I did not stand and swear in. I didn't know I'd be speaking.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. On behalf of I did listen to everything. This is very fascinating. But at the same time with the privacy, that's all in the eye of the beholder. I could Google 6 articles right now saying how city living is better than being alone on a quiet country road. Building the house that the Chase and the Cousineaus want to build would not affect their property value at all, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got a couple more. I'd like my engineer to make 1 or 2 quick comments, Madam Chair, then we'll complete our presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to point out a couple inaccuracies that were.
Is that on?
Put it up to your mouth. Get it closer.
Yep, sorry. Is this better? Okay. I'd just like to point out a couple inaccuracies that were presented by Mr. Belmonte and the attorney over here. They are not direct abutters to this property. There's actually a railroad, old railroad strip of land that separates the subject property with their property. This is actually owned by the town of Merrimack. This is the lot that they were pointed to when claiming that it was theirs. So I just want to make sure that the board's aware of
How
that.
wide is that?
That's 100 feet wide here, and it actually gets even wider as you get closer to Woodward Road. As far as the Aquifer Protection District, everything that's on this proposal conforms to the zoning ordinance specific to the Aquifer Protection District. So yes, it's in it. There's a lot of properties that are in town that are within it, and they all, they conform to it, similar to this. There's nothing in here that, when you go through that section of the zoning ordinance that, doesn't meet that code, okay? So I want to make that clear. The driveways are not 30 feet apart. We do have about 30 feet from the proposed driveway to the edge of the property line. The driveway that these folks enjoy through the town's land is somewhere in the middle of this portion of land, about 115 feet away or so, as I measure from GIS, which we all know isn't 100% accurate. So that's going to be about 140, 150 feet away, not 30. As far as the wildlife, again, we checked all the places that you have to check regarding wildlife when doing a proposal like this. There was nothing to be concerned about there that we found. And then also, there's no proposed fill, no proposed development within the floodplain. This is the 100-year floodplain line right here. We're conforming to all the regulations that go along with that district as well. And then lastly, although yes, there will be trees remaining along the southerly property line here, there's also a section, again, their driveway is about 50 feet in the middle of a 100-foot section of town land. They're not going to be able to cut down any trees there, so there's going to be automatically about a 50-foot buffer of trees that are going to remain that aren't on this property and cannot be cut down by this property owner. And with that being said,
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Comments? What's the will of the board?
I'd like to make a motion. I move to grant Stephen Chase and Robin Cousineau variances under section 3.02A of the zoning ordinance permitting two-lot subdivision with one lot having 86,505.
Mike,
Start over again?
please.
I moved to grant Stephen Chase and Robin Cousineau variances under section 3.02A of the zoning ordinance to permit a two-lot subdivision with one lot having 86,505 square feet of contiguous non-wetland area and the second lot having 65,046 square feet of contiguous non-wetland area, whereas 100,000 square feet is required. The parcel is located at 85 Woodward Road in the R1 Residential by map and the Aquifer Conservation Districts, tax map 7A, lot 007, case number 2019-17.
Second.
If you
Condition
could just
that,
add these
please.
staff recommendations to that.
What's that?
We're adding the staff recommendations to that, which include subject to going to the planning board for subdivision approval.
With conditions that it goes to planning board.
Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor? Raise your right hand. All those opposed? Anyone abstaining? 401.
Thank you.
Drew is abstaining. Thank you very much. I'm sorry?
I second.
Kathy did, yes. Discussion, possible action regarding other items of concern, other than saying farewell to Kelly.
Yes.
This is Kelly's last meeting.
I just wanted to, did anybody leave glasses up here when you came to speak? Anybody at all? Did these look familiar to anybody? Okay, we're gonna leave them right where they were.
They were here when I came in at quarter.
Yeah.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Thank you.
Anything else, Kelly, we need to be concerned
One other
about?
thing,
Yeah.
So I've been asked to get your opinion on whether or not we can move your annual meeting to April so that you coincide with when the planning board does theirs.
Makes sense to me.
Does that, okay, so we'll take the proper steps to change that.
So do we have to go
process.
back to last April to?
No.
No, okay. That's fine.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sure
you.
Patrick would have no problem with it.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, just.
We have minutes? Mike, yes. Mike, yeah, push the button. Okay,
I have to abstain.
okay?
I wasn't here either, so I have to abstain.
Then you're gonna do it.
If you read them, you don't.
As long as you've read them,
Oh, I watched them on TV. I
there you
watched the
go.
whole thing on
There
TV.
you go.
I didn't. I'm still
All right,
gonna
so
abstain.
Kathy's making a motion to approve as printed,
As printed, the minutes from the meeting of
May 29th.
29th.
And Drew's gonna second that?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 500.
401.
401. Rob is abstaining.
Rich.
Sorry. It's getting late. Anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
I second that.
Oh, she's quick on that one. We are adjourned. Make sure you